Well, that is a nice segue to Chinese democracy, which we're talking about the album. We're not talking about governmental structures.
The concept of democracy in China, which doesn't really exist, but yeah.
Yes, we are talking about the album. So YouTube, don't shadow ban us. We're not talking politics here. Leave us alone. We're talking about rock and roll. Okay. This is, from most people's estimation, the most expensive rock album ever made at about $14 million. You are listening to Tape Spaghetti, the podcast about the twisted and tangled innards of the music industry. Some of this content may not be for all listeners or viewers, so if it's not for you, no harm, no foul. We'll just catch you on the next one. All right, without further ado, let's get into it. Here we go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Tape Spaghetti. I am Scott Marquardt. I am joined by none other than Blake Weiland, as usual. And Blake,
we've been by ourselves these last few episodes. I thought maybe we'd just be a guest show. No,
it's been intimate. I've enjoyed it.
I like doing the one-on-ones. We will bring in more guests, but I think the natural format is as presented.
Of course. And Blake, I got to tell you, it's hard for me to think of anything else. It's the heat. It doesn't stop. I know that you have heat there too, but the heat, it's unrelenting. It must be 6 straight weeks now that we have not had a day below 93 degrees as a high, and people are starting to lose their minds. If you remember, the Son of Sam happened during a New York City heat wave. Do the Right Things, all about, people tend to go crazy when it gets hot out there.
I think Son of Sam would have Son of Sammed under any other circumstances as well, but I take your point.
Yeah, it happens. The heat makes people go a little crazy. I always wonder how in hell, humans have dealt with cold for many, many millennia, and it's been fine. But the heat is tough. Only in the last 70 years have we had air conditioning where we're able to deal with it. How I couldn't even fathom how I would get through a southern summer before that. It would be brutal. I'd be moving so slowly.
You'd be moving is what you'd be doing. You'd be moving north. Is what
maybe. Yeah.
There's no way. I am just such a Pacific Northwesterner that I don't even know. We had it hot here and we're it's been hot for a while. And it was 90 or 90-ish. It would go up a little bit above and a little bit below for about 2 weeks. And that was all we could handle. Now we're back down in the brisk 80s, which is still pretty warm for us. But being above 90 consistently for 3 weeks, I might turn into Son of Sam.
Not 3 weeks, dog. 5 weeks.
5 weeks. Sorry. That's even worse.
It's been brutal. It's been brutal. But this is my nice little respite from it because I get to sit in here in the air conditioning and hear about interesting musical things from you. And I am going to steer us straight into our episode because you gave me a little preview of it before we hit the record button. And I'm really excited about it.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get into it. I always want to do some sort of build up and tease to both you and the audience. But as you so deftly pointed out on the Joe Brenton episode, they already know because they clicked on it.
Yep. They saw it in the title.
So it's in
usually
the
they know before one of us does.
Yeah, exactly. So today we are talking about the most expensive rock album of all time. And that is Chinese Democracy by Guns N' Roses. Yeah. We're going to get into it. Yes.
I'm so excited. I was kind of disappointed when this album actually came out.
I know.
Right? Not, and I don't mean it was underwhelming to my expectations. In some ways, and I haven't listened to it since right when it came out. In some ways, I recall it being better than I expected. It just seemed like it'd be better if it was one of those things that was always the legend of what could have been.
Yeah, and we grew up right in the thick of sort of the legend of all this, right? We were the perfect age for this to be a rock legend. And I'm with you. I almost wish it had never came out, though it would probably be we'd probably be a little bit upset by it if it never did as well. So I don't know. Maybe I'm just saying I want my way and I don't know what my way is, but I want it and I want it now. But I actually had to go back and re-listen to it because of this episode. And it's actually better than I remember giving it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. Don't get me wrong. It's no Appetite for Destruction, but it's still pretty good. And if you remove Guns N' Roses from it, I think that people would actually appreciate it more. And you almost can remove Guns N' Roses from it because the only Guns N' Roses part is Axl Rose himself. There's really nothing else there. And I know he's the front man and he's the face of the band and all that stuff, but still, as we'll get into, he's the only part of it. And I think that you don't get Guns N' Roses unless you have the rest of the band, which is why I like Appetite for Destruction better.
Yeah, I mean, Appetite's obviously great. GNR is such an interesting and fascinating catalog for a band of their size, where you have Appetite and then you have the acoustic record, which remind me what that's called. It's been a minute. I don't
remember. I never really listened to that one.
Oh, really? It's good. It's got that one song, Patience.
Okay,
the whistle
that's
solo.
a good song. Yeah,
Patience is pretty good. And then they come back, and then we get the double album, and that's really cool. And then the Spaghetti Incident.
How do you feel about the Spaghetti Incident? You don't like it?
It's been a long time since I've listened straight through it. I remember Ain't It Fun from it pretty well. I don't remember too many other ones from it, but for me, so I am a true believer in the GNR version of Sympathy for the Devil, which was recorded after the Spaghetti Incident.
Yes.
That was for the Interview with the Vampire soundtrack.
Yes.
And that, as I recall, is like the sound of Guns N' Roses breaking up. But I love that. Granted, I mean, I just love Sympathy for the Devil as a song. I think it's such a good song. I would like the Hanson version of Sympathy for the Devil.
I would.
But I think that's pretty good. And so in some respects, like though the Spaghetti Incident was kind of meh, leaving with the Sympathy for the Devil cover made me feel a little like, okay, this band still got it. They all can still play. Maybe it's been several album cycles before we've heard an original song by them. But there's a good band there.
Yeah,
maybe they could do something good after.
Well, and here's the interesting part. So to me, GNR have this very strange cultural space that they hold because in a lot of people's minds and sonically, their biggest album, Appetite for Destruction, they sound pretty of the time. It's hair metal, but somehow transcends that a little bit in ways that are, I think, a little bit hard to put your finger on exactly why we feel that it transcends it. Because if you really listen to it, it's hair metal. That's what it is. But I feel like most people are willing to put it kind of just outside of that a little bit for some reason or another. I'm not sure why.
I think that's a really interesting point. I think that Appetite, like, at least I was led to believe that it like sat in this sort of like netherworld in between hair metal and grunge, like that it was like a slightly more authentic thing than hair metal, or at least that was like the discourse that I like grew up with about it. But I'm with you. I mean, it doesn't sound like Poison. And it certainly doesn't sound like White Lion, Winger, like late hair metal.
It's
stuff.
not as polished as those.
No, it feels dangerous. It feels edgy, but I mean, they're definitely doing the classic rock and roll or Motley Crue style thing. They want you to really know that we're rock and roll dudes.
Yes, exactly. And the high register vocals, the very thick guitars, the stage presence, everything about it. They maybe dress a little bit more grungy than a hair metal band typically would, but really almost everything about it, it's like, it's the transition period between Winger and Nirvana is Guns N' Roses, I feel like, in a lot of ways.
That's the way it's often told, and I feel like that kind of makes sense.
But to me, and to my ears, especially not growing up at the time, I'm like, this sounds basically like hair metal. There's a big distinction to me between Guns N' Roses and Nirvana and grunge and Soundgarden and all that stuff. It's so different to me. And Guns N' Roses, to my ear, is a little more related to Poison than it is to Alice in Chains. That's just
GNR Lies. That's right. That was the name of the acoustic album. That's just like such an odd album title.
That's
in many
weird.
ways.
That is weird.
But you're right, like leaving Appetite, going straight for like a bunch of acoustic songs and having a big hit with that, and then doing whatever you want to call Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, which like if budgets were a genre, that's what that would be. it sounds like rock and roll. If you were like, all right, I want you to make a rock and roll album that sounds like you put as much budget into it as humanly possible.
Well, that is a nice segue to Chinese democracy, which we're talking about the album. We're not talking about governmental structures.
The concept of democracy in China, which doesn't really exist, but yeah.
Yes, we are talking about the album. So YouTube, don't shadow ban us. We're not talking politics here. Leave us alone. We're talking about rock and roll. Okay. This is, from most people's estimation, the most expensive rock album ever made at about $14 million.
Wow. But that's like, that fee is over a great many years.
It is. It's over a long time. And we are going to get into why. Well, there really isn't an answer. I'm going to spoiler alert you right now. It's like, to me, there's no good reason that this album took this long, other than they wanted it to. Basically,
it just did. No one ever was like, it's ready.
And to put that in perspective, I know that sounds like a lot of money, because it is. But in today's dollars, that would be $22 million. So,
and it was like spent, over a period of time. So the inflation calculation on that figure is a little bit tricky.
It is. So this occurred between the late 90s, and the album finally came out in like 2008, which is the year I got married.
God, was it 2008?
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was more recent than that.
Yeah, 2008 is what I have here. And I vaguely kind of remember this, but the thing is, 2008 was chaotic. So it's not surprising.
Things were going on. Yeah, it makes sense how that wasn't the one thing we remember about 2008 was that's when Chinese democracy came out.
Yes. It's amazing. I can remember that it was my wedding. Anyway, that was quite a year for everybody. But yeah, so 1993, following the tour for Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, this is when the cracks start appearing publicly in the GNR facade, basically. Slash and Axl, barely speaking. Izzy Stradlin had already left.
Yeah.
Matt Sorum is like, he's about.
Steven Adler's been out of the band for a couple albums now.
Yep. So it's kind of a mess. And
by the way, I am one of the believers that Izzy was like essential to GNR.
I agree.
And they were never really the same thing once Izzy left.
Yes, I fully agree. And if you really want evidence of that, back to back, anything with Izzy on it with Chinese democracy, and you will see very much not the same thing at all.
He was such a good rhythm player. When you actually listen to just Izzy's parts, they are so interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got the kind of this choppy dynamic thing going on that is very it's very staccato, but it's precise, but it's not too precise. It's just exactly what it needs to be. I like his playing a lot. It's very good, if that makes any sense. So Axl basically he blows up. Everybody's out of the band. Nobody else is in the band now. The band is Axl Rose. So should just change his name to Roses, I guess. But he buys the name back from everybody. It's a big legal dispute. Now he owns Guns N' Roses. And he starts working on new material in about 1994. And he's envisioning it as the next big step. This is the next thing. This is going to be like the next Appetite for Destruction, but it's going to be more industrial, more experimental, more out there. And he's talking about this a lot publicly. He's kind of thinking, saying things like 9 Inch Nails meets Queen, which is
crazy.
Not what ended up happening. But
I would have loved to hear that, though. I mean, industrial rock and industrial stuff in the mid to late 90s felt like this incredible edgy future that we were going to. I always think of aesthetically. Do you remember the movie Batman and Robin, the George Clooney Batman?
Oh boy, do I. We just watched that with the family not too long ago.
Oh, heck yeah. Okay. With Chris O'Donnell and all them. Yeah. The netherworld of that is always all these people on motorcycles with neon paint and stuff and industrial music happening. That whole world of the 90s, I love that. I love that whole aesthetic. It's so great.
Yeah. It's weird.
It's one of those, unfortunately.
But it's one of those things that as a kid, I would see that and I would think, is this what adults are doing? In their time, is this what's going on in the big city? That's
right.
Happening?
Yeah, I'm from the suburbs. I'm like, this must be what Chicago's like. or New York or LA.
Yeah, I thought that's what New York was like, because then you'd hear the adults in our suburban lives talking about how scary the city is. And if it looks like Batman and Robin, indeed, that would be scary.
Yeah. And I was like, sign me up. I want to go to there.
Yeah. I want to ride a motorcycle around and paint my face silver. Can I do that, please?
So it makes sense that would be where Axl would be headed with this. That felt like that was kind of the bleeding edge frontier of where rock and roll music could be the most dangerous in the 90s.
Yep. So after he starts talking about this, Axl retreats from public life quite a bit. So he's kind of just more in the shadows. I don't know what filled Axl Rose's day during this time period. It's very difficult to say. It's definitely not a lot of output. He's not doing a lot, so it's a little bit confusing. But then he brings in this. This is going to get a little tedious, so I'm going to name a lot of names in this episode. Coming and going. There's a lot of coming and going.
With fun names too, like Bumblefoot and Buckethead and Brain.
Yeah, and Paul Huge Tobias.
That's right. Yep.
Yes. So he came in 1994. He's a rhythm guitar. Dizzy Reed came in, and Duff McKagan left in, it looks like,
and
97.
Dizzy Reed was already there, right? But he wasn't like formally in the band.
He wasn't formally in the band. He was a holdover of sorts.
Yeah.
But he got like in the band officially around this time. So Slash is gone totally in 96, and Duff McKagan's in 1997. Okay. And then, yes, in full, this is when all the legal stuff is finally settled. This is where 97 is where he really has the full rights to the GNR name. So 94, he's starting to turn the wheels. 97 is when he really has it. So 1997, he's on Geffen Records. Geffen's like, hey, this is Axl Rose. We're going to be printing money. So they give him $1 million as an advance. And they wanted the record done in, what year did you think they were asking for in 1997?
By the year 2000.
Ooh, close. 1999, they were looking for it. Yeah. Guess what? That didn't happen, as we discussed already. So in addition to band members, he brings in like a lot of different producers. So from what I can tell, there's at least 4 producers that worked on it and 1 that declined, which I kind of wish hadn't declined because it would have been really interesting. But we have, so that was Moby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was approached around 1997, but he declined due to scheduling and Axl Rose.
Yeah. I just can't pencil you in, unfortunately. Moby was big at that time too. Huge. Like that's like around like the South Side with Gwen Stefani and all that stuff. The Play album.
Yeah. It was back before anybody really knew how annoying he was. Anyway, did I say that out loud? Oh man, I did.
I think you did.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, Moby. Appreciate what you did, but you are annoying. Anyway, he brought in Youth, who actually I couldn't remember what this was, but that was from Killing Joke. He only lasted a few months. Sean Bevan, I think I said that name right. I've only read it. I've never actually heard it said out loud. Could be Beavan, but I think it's Bevan. From 9 Inch Nails. Makes sense for the goals that he was stating.
Sure.
That lasted about 2 years, so 98 to 2000, which is just funny to think of an album, even an album that's an hour long, like Chinese Democracy is. It's like, okay, so this guy was on it for a couple of years. And then this guy was on it for a couple of years.
Well, and that's what's kind of weird too with the whole, I know that we're just in the middle of it, but the whole like tracking of who was in the band when, because you didn't have like a tour at this time. It's really kind of semantic as to whether somebody was in the band or not.
Right.
You know, a tour makes it really easy to be like, are they there or not? Are they playing with the band?
Yes.
But some of these people, I imagine, might have just been there for a couple of sessions or just gotten brought in and then they're like, you're in the band, and then never heard from anyone again.
Well, and that's the thing. There's a lot of people who were, quote, on the album that don't seem to get any credit. So what did they do? What takes did they keep? You know, I can see how it got really, really messy where somebody might have went in and been like, man, I was there for 3 weeks recording with them and I'm not on the record. What is this? But anyway, so we got Roy Thomas Baker was brought in 2000. He worked on Queen and the Cars, and he's notoriously like a super meticulous producer. And some of the members, we'll get into this in a little bit, thought that maybe he was being a little bit too meticulous. They were like, hey, I can relate to this guy a little bit. He spent a lot of time chasing tones. So he spent a lot of time re-recording guitar parts and redoing things that in some of the people who work on the project estimation could have been done in post. Could it have? Maybe. I mean, we both know production enough to know that maybe that's true, maybe it's not. Post gets credit for fixing a lot of things, and you can do some magic in that world, in the mixing and mastering world, but it's not going to fix, everything. If a take's not what you're looking for, it's not going to work.
No, and I mean, when you're recording something as unwieldy as like this era of Guns N' Roses, I can see how they're like, can we just like get this all down, like tracked and agreed that like this is like a pretty good take of this, and then we can tweak the tones as much as we want. But imagine like spending all day dialing in like that guitar crunch sound, and then you're like, we still don't even know like how if the song is going to be worth it or not.
Right. And so he does a ton of overdubs, which I think you can hear on this record way more so than any other GNR record. But the guy who put the cherry on top, who actually finished the album and is labeled as the co-producer with Axl, is Karam Costanzo. And his credits include Keith Sweat, Rage Against the Machine, Whitesnake, Lil' Kim. I mean, he's got a list. He's got a big stack. And usually
Lil' Kim at the end there.
Lil' Kim, yeah.
Yeah, so he's all over the place.
All over the place. Lots of rock though. Like I wanted to put Keith Sweat in there because I had referenced him on the last episode.
Yes.
And I just had to.
I appreciate the continuity.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of want to figure out a way to put Keith Sweat into every episode if I can. That would just be really, really entertaining to me. Mostly just because of his name. His music's great. I just think he has a fun name.
The name's funny. It does, like, when you hear it verbally, you're like, are they saying Keith Sweat or Keith's Wet?
Right. Either
it's an
way.
Enduring mystery.
Yes. Well, the thing is, if it's Keith's Wet, it could be Sweat. Who knows?
He can be wet with anything.
Exactly. So this is the other part. So, and this is the part I really do not understand at all. I mean, I kind of do. I shouldn't say at all, because I understand that different places have different vibes, man, and you want to be inspired in the space that you're working in. But it isn't like any of these studios I'm about to mention lack in vibe or history or equipment or inspirational abilities or anything like that. All of these places are like top notch. So Axl's getting his gear airlifted across studios from LA to New York. For some reason, a lot of it stays in LA. Like it just goes to different places in LA. But he started at Rumbo Recorders, where Appetite for Destruction and Spaghetti Incident were recorded. Ocean Way, which is also in LA, but I think it's worth noting.
Way in Nashville.
Yes, which is owned or licensed.
It's owned by Belmont now.
Yeah, Belmont.
Or they use it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I at first was like, oh, did he go to Nashville? Oh no, Ocean Way was originally in LA. I think the Nashville one is the only one left. If I remember correctly.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And Rumbo is no longer in existence either. The Village recording studio also in LA, but then of course Jimi Hendrix's famous Electric Lady in New York. And there's other places too. They were I mean, the 10-ish years it took to make this record, they were all over the place. Yeah,
I imagine that they're just doing like these distinct sessions with different people at different times wherever they can kind of fly out and get everyone together. I assume, but I could be wrong. Maybe they're just doing all the drums, in New York. It doesn't seem like this is one of those albums where there's some pre-production done and we know, okay, we're trying to get these 15 songs. Where you can a lot of times go through that and be like, all right, we're going to knock out all the drums and then add, bass over top and then go through in this very methodical and efficient way. This feels very much like a big budget album where they're just, I don't even know what order they're going in. Maybe they're finishing a song at a time. Who knows?
Yeah, it's definitely all over the place. I think if there's one cohesive thing about this whole process is that it's always all over the place.
Yep.
It's the lack of cohesion is the cohesive thing about this record. So during this time, we listed off some producers. Let's go through some members. So we had Robin Fink from 9 Inch Nails, on and off on lead guitar from about 1997 through completion. Buckethead. Yep.
So that was big news when Buckethead was announced to be a member of Guns N' Roses.
It was. It really shook the rock and roll world to its core for some reason. But it was an interesting thing because Buckethead, I would love to talk to Buckethead because I've known about this character basically my whole life.
Same.
But I want to know, I still don't know, like what made you put the KFC bucket on? Like what made you do that? It obviously worked. We're still talking about it to this day. But yeah. So that
he was such a
2000.
fitting replacement for Slash because it was obvious like you have to have some interesting hat to be in the lead guitarist of Guns N' Roses.
You have to. You got to have a good hat.
And I got to say, like, so the Slash hat, like the stovepipe hat is legendary. And like I dressed up as Slash in middle school for Halloween. Like I loved Slash. Super amazing. But if that was a buddy of mine, if you and I were in a band and you knew nothing about Slash or anything, and one day you show up and you're wearing that hat, I'd be like, why are you wearing that stupid fucking hat? And you'd be like, no, it's gonna be my thing, man. It's the stovepipe hat. I'm like, you look like a Charles Dickens character.
It's my hat.
Yeah, it's my hat. It's gonna be super cool. I would like very seriously consider no longer being in a band with you if you didn't take the stupid hat off.
Would you have been in a band with me while I was in my cowboy hat era?
Maybe.
That somehow
Maybe
works
not.
better. It somehow is. Maybe it's just because you see a cowboy hat more often.
I'm desensitized to seeing people playing music in cowboy hats.
Yes.
I wouldn't do it myself, but it feels somewhat more normal.
I think you should try it. I think you could pull it off.
Like if you showed up in like a crazy mask, like Slipknot style, I'd be okay with that.
Not the stovepipe hat, though.
The stovepipe hat would be weird. I can't believe how much it works. It works.
What if you had the
great.
stovepipe hat and a crazy mask? Maybe you can't do them. You can't do the hat in isolation unless you're Slash.
You might be right.
Yeah, because if you got the mask and you got the hat, and you're like, no, I'm going through for this thing. You know, I'm like a plague doctor or something.
Yeah,
like, okay, yeah, that works. I get that. Don't worry though. That's too much work for me. I don't even have hair because it's too much work. So you will never have to fear about that.
A fancy hat and mask
I will always
combo.
be the trucker hat boy that you know. That is me.
So back to Buckethead. Did Buckethead have like solos that made it on the record ultimately?
Yes, from my
know?
understanding, yes. He's very much credited on the record.
Okay.
One other note about him before we move on to some of these other people. He also apparently had a habit of twirling nunchucks around the studio while they were recording. I didn't take Buckethead for a nunchuck guy, but now that I know this and I think about it, it makes a lot of sense. Would you agree?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what a nunchuck guy looks like, but
You don't know what Buckethead looks like either.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. So just picture Buckethead twirling nunchucks in a studio for a minute, if you will, dear listener, and let that sink into your brain for a second. I think you'll be glad you did. So this person, I actually didn't somehow like flew way under my radar, even though he's by far the most consistent member on this record, is Tommy Stinson on bass. Tommy Stinson is from The Replacements, which is where I know him. And to me, this is like a bit of an odd pairing because I don't think The Replacements sound anything like anything that Guns N' Roses have done.
No.
Except obviously he's on this entire record playing bass. So I'm clearly wrong about that. Tommy Stinson was a very important member of The Replacements, and I imagine we'll do a Replacement story, probably on the recording of one of their records at some point. So those were some wild, weird dudes.
And the bass chair in Guns N' Roses is like a fairly critical chair, you know?
Yes.
In some bands, like the bassist, you know, is more or less important. But I think Duff was like super, super instrumental in that sound.
100%. Yeah. Funny story about Duff. He once told a friend of mine on an airplane that he thought he was drinking too much. And that was a wake-up moment for my buddy because Duff McKagan told him he needed to slow down his alcohol consumption. So you can imagine how that made him feel. Like, Duff McKagan of Guns and maybe I should. So he doesn't drink anymore. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about flying into SeaTac Airport is that it's like, hey, everybody, this is Duff McKagan welcoming you to Seattle.
I do love that. Every time it makes me happy. I'm glad he did that.
Mm-hmm.
So we got Brain from Primus on drums. Again, Dizzy Reed, who we mentioned, and Bumblefoot.
Yeah.
Another good. Yep. Buckethead and Bumblefoot. We're really getting in here.
I love that the Wikipedia for Ron Bumblefoot Thal is he adopted his nickname from the bacterial infection of the same name.
Oh, I always wondered about that. That's okay. That's
which does break like one central rule is that he's choosing his own nickname, which you're not supposed to do. But I do feel like that happens in music more than elsewhere. I feel like people do choose their own nicknames.
So I might have told you about this. I can't remember. I grew up with a fella, and he decided he was an interesting fella. I got along with him fine, but he was an interesting fella. He decided that he was going to be called number one. He was just like, I'm number one. We're like, you can't choose your own nickname. That doesn't work. And yet it did work because from there on, no one knew him as his name. They only knew him as number one. Even to this day, when people talk about him, they refer to him as number one. Because I don't know what happened to him exactly. But yeah, it's like, you remember when number one did this?
Stick? That's crazy.
I think it was because it was so silly. We're like, and if you knew this guy, you'd be like, you're probably not number one.
I would 100% be like, we're calling you number two now.
Well, that was tried. It just didn't really. Somehow this guy successfully gave himself his own nickname, but it was kind of.
Good for him.
I think he used it seriously, and everyone else was using it ironically.
Of course,
yes. But
so it worked for number one, and of course Bumblefoot.
And Bumblefoot, yes.
So yeah, at one point we had Bumblefoot and Buckethead as the two guitarists in there.
Yes.
Though it seems like if you were to really chart like the members, there'd be periods where there were like way more than two guitarists at a time that were like nominally in the band.
Yeah, because we got Frank Ferrer. I'm not trying to say his last name. Ferrer. 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 Yeah.
Ferrer. I don't know.
Ferrer. Yeah.
Ferrer.
I'm sorry. I apologize, Frank. I'm doing my best over here. He was in it, and then Richard Fortas, who's still with him to this day, came in around 2006 for the live touring stuff. But he's still there, and as far as I know, will be probably as long as GNR still exists. He's been with them a long time. He's everybody likes that guy. He seems like an awesome dude. So this is an interesting little note for 1999. Now we've gotten through most of the lineup, I think. I don't think there's any other changes we're going to have to go over. Other than something with Bucketfoot later. Bucketfoot?
Bucketfoot.
I can't keep these B's together, these bumblefooty, bucketheady things. Buckethead does leave at some point. We'll get to that.
There is one. So I've dug in slightly more to this particular thing. So from what I'm seeing, there is a moment where you have at the same time Robin Fink and Buckethead both in there as lead guitar, and it was right in the transition from Paul Tobias to Richard Fortas on rhythm guitar.
Okay.
And then that goes for a little bit until Robin Fink leaves, and then you've got Bumblefoot and DJ Ashba on lead at the same time.
Okay.
It gets a little confusing, but for the most part, it's 1-to-1. You go from on the rhythm side, just to make this slightly easier for anyone out there, you go from Izzy Stradlin to Gilby Clarke. That's like in the classic era. Yep. And then Gilby Clarke to Paul Tobias, and then Paul Tobias to Richard Fortas. So that's, just four different guys. Okay. Lead goes a little bit crazier. You go from Slash to Robin Fink to Buckethead to Robin Fink still there to Bumblefoot while Robin Fink's still around, but Buckethead isn't in it anymore, to DJ Ashba, and then finally just Slash again.
Yes, which is currently.
Drummers, I'm just going to keep going through this.
All right, go for it. All right.
On the drum side, we go from Steven Adler to Matt Sorum. Again, that's like normal classic era. And then to Josh Freese from Nine Inch Nails. Well, from everything.
From
basically.
everything, yeah.
To Brian Mancia, which is Brain, to Frank Ferrer. So, you're going through like 5 different drummers in that whole period. Dizzy Reed must just be like a very easy guy to get along with, because he was just in it the whole time. He's the longest serving member that isn't Axl Rose.
Right. Yes.
But when
Tommy
he started,
Stinson
he just never left.
was doing the bass for a long time.
Yeah, same. Bass went from Duff to Tommy Stinson to Duff came back.
Yep.
So it's mostly looking at this visually, as I am now. It's a little crazy, but it mostly is just the lead guitarist that got real hairy. We had 4 different rhythm guitarists, 5 different drummers, but the lead guitarist is the weird thing. And fair enough, because Slash is such an iconic guy. And how do you replace him, and with whom?
And the answer, seemingly, ultimately, at the end of the day, is you don't. You bring him back.
Yep. Yeah, there is this lovely moment, and I'm gonna hand it back to you after this. Mm-hmm. But looking at this timeline, there's this lovely moment in about 97, which is what you were talking about, while Axl got the name back, where on the big depth chart in the band, nominally you have Axl, of course. Robin Fink is in the band at this time. Paul Tobias is in the band at this time. There is no bassist and no drummer, and Dizzy Reed's still in the band. And I just would love to think of like them playing, at the local county fair or something with 2 guitarists, no bassist, no drummer, a keyboardist, and Axl.
Dizzy Reed's just up there, just like holding down the bass lines with his left hand.
Doing
or something.
Everything.
Yeah. All right. So
I'm going to hand it back to you now, boss.
All right. We're going to get into some corporate stuff a little bit here. So 1999, Interscope takes over Geffen. So it gets folded in a merger, and Jimmy Iovine, he is Interscope's chairman. He was handed Chinese Democracy, basically like, fix this.
Yeah,
this is not doing what we gave this guy $1 million. What are we doing? Like, how?
And Jimmy Iovine's a legend in the music industry.
Yeah, I actually realized I said it with like as if everybody knows who he is. That's probably a little more music nerdy.
I feel like a lot of people know who he is, and because he started Beats by Dre with Dre, and then that sold out to Apple, and that seems kind of silly now because you don't really see Beats all over. It's just like the Apple AirPods more now.
Yeah, I think they got pigeonholed into like a pretty specific thing. They're not as common as they used to be. But hey, who cares? Jimmy and Dre are fine with it, I think.
Oh, they're doing A-okay.
Yes. So Jimmy, he gets Tommy Stinson kind of criticizes his approach pretty heavily. He's kind of saying that, like, and this is a quote from Tommy, that he threw other people in the mix who weren't very capable. And he specifically kind of singled out Roy Thomas Baker, who we talked about earlier, saying he, quote, re-recorded everything to get better tone, but these efforts were just wasted. Many, many years and many millions of dollars could have been solved in mixing. That's Tommy's opinion on it. And this is Jimmy's kind of vision that's happening here. So there's some other stuff. There's a really weird thing that I want to get to with Jimmy specifically, something that he definitely had a hand in, and it's a kind of a set a weird legal precedent, and I think in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So there's another thing. I was making sure my timeline was right. No, we can dive right into what I was hinting at. So Jimmy does an interview with a blog called Anti-Quiet, and in that there are songs leaked to this blog. And the blog goes ahead and puts it out there. As we've talked about, this is like one of the biggest kind of bubbling legends in rock and roll at the time. Chinese Democracy became almost a tongue-in-cheek joke amongst a bunch of people because they're like, "Oh, what are you working on? Chinese Democracy over there?" Like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal. Once he leaks it to them, the FBI ends up raiding this blogger's house. There's a huge lawsuit. Ultimately, he kind of gets a slap on the wrist, but it was very much like a music industry kind of strong-arming thing. His name was Kevin Cogill, or probably still is. He's probably still around. He ultimately got probation, but it's crazy that they raided his house over the Chinese Democracy album.
Yeah. That's nuts.
The FBI is knocking on your door over this, over something that the guy in charge of the album gave you, which he shouldn't have given you. Why is this his fault? Isn't this weird? Did you know about this? I felt like this was something I've heard rumblings about, like
Same.
in the background, but I didn't actually realize that it was that big of a deal.
Yeah, same.
So, Jimmy, you screwed up on that one. Why? And admittedly, like Kevin probably shouldn't have released them, but you just got handed 8 files of Chinese democracy.
Yeah, that's like a pretty closely guarded secret, right?
Yeah.
It'd be weird to be like, don't share this with anybody.
Yeah. It's like, but they're on my hard drive now. Like, I think maybe if Jimmy really wanted to show it to him, he should have just, because it's of the time, put his iPod on and let him just listen to it on that.
Yeah, let him hear it and not be able to take it away.
Yeah. It's very, very, very weird. So Axl, not happy about this. The media kind of creates a firestorm. They're like talking about this being the most expensive album that's never been released. And eventually Axl needs to come out of hiding a little bit publicly. So in 2002, this is talking about what you were talking about. They're not playing live. There's all these lineup changes. There's all these weird things happening. 2002, GNR plays on the VMAs, which was a big deal at the time.
This is Dreadlock Axl Rose performance, yeah?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is Robin Fink, Tommy Stinson, and Buckethead. So something you talked about. And it's the first time in almost a decade that they've performed live at all. And mostly people are like, huh? Where's Slash? What's going on here? Like, because people don't know all this tumult is happening behind
As
the
I
scenes.
recall, and it's been a while, I'm pulling this, from my depth of 2000s musical knowledge, but there was like a code. Jimmy Fallon was the one who announced them, if I'm remembering right.
Okay.
And they had a code word for who was supposed to be playing, because like they couldn't like leak out that it was supposed to be Guns N' Roses. So there was like some silly, fake name for the band.
Okay.
That they had, and then like right before, when they knew for sure like they're actually gonna do it, was when like Jimmy Fallon's like, Guns N' Roses,
Yeah.
and then is freaking out. That's how I remember it.
Okay. All right. Oh, you know what? When you said that, when you did the Guns N' Roses, I like had a flashback. I'm like, oh, I remember him saying it almost exactly how you did it there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. But it is interesting. Like Axl's, for people who haven't seen this performance, don't remember it, he's not doing great. His voice is kind of shot. He doesn't look great. Like Axl was always very attractive. Like, and it's not just because he got older.
I didn't know you felt that way.
He's a pretty man. Come on.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I was gonna date somebody in GNR, Axl wouldn't be my guy.
Early Axl wouldn't be your guy?
Mm-mm.
Well, that's fine.
Nope.
We can have different opinions on which GNR member we should date.
I'd take Slash or Duff.
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. It'd certainly be a calmer date if you did that. For sure. Yeah. But he's not looking so good. It looks like he'd been partying for a long time. Like you mentioned, he's doing the dread thing. He's a little puffy. Not I don't mean like fat. I mean he looks a little bit puffy in the term. That's how I would mean it. Like it's just like he's retaining fluid in a way. Maybe doing the Jason Aldean salt lick diet or something. I'm not sure.
Who knows?
We're going to get in so much trouble for this podcast one day for all these stupid things we say.
No, I hope that never comes home to roost. As long as it's you that's saying them.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to run into him at a party in Nashville, but you very well might.
That's all right. I don't mind us being critical of Jason Aldean. If I have to like pick one, that's fine.
I heard you were talking bad about my salt diet. Oh man, we are dumb. Anyway, 2004. So this happens. Not very well received. Everyone's excited about it, but not very well received. It's not GNR's shining moment at all. And Buckethead leaves the band in 2004, citing the inability to complete the album or to tour properly. He just wants to be in a band. He wants to do the rock and roll thing. That's what he wants to do. He clearly loves making music. He's very talented and went on to do all that kind of on his own anyway. So I guess that worked out for the better. Now, here is that we're flashing to like all these different points because there's just like a lot of time with no news.
Yeah.
Nothing really going on. So 2006, Axl comes out of the woodwork and releases Soon. It's going to come out soon. Oh, Chinese Democracy is actually going to come out.
I remember this
Mhm.
being like,
I do too.
Really? No.
Yeah, like it's not coming out. I remember reading it in like AP or something, which is not exactly an alternative press band to cover necessarily.
It was just news for everybody.
Yeah, it's rock and roll, so it's not totally.
No one was expecting it to be like, I mean, at this point, no one was thinking, oh, this album's going to really blow all of our minds.
Yeah, it had become kind of an inside joke in some ways. Like, I think at this point, we're all going like, okay, Axl, okay. So this is the part that I forgot. In 2008, Chinese Democracy comes out. Do you remember how it came out?
I remember there was something unique about it. Was it just through Best Buy?
Yeah, you nailed it. Yes, it was a Best Buy exclusive in 2008. What a horrible move. I mean, at the time, Best Buy obviously a lot more important than they are. They're still important when I need a random cable. Don't get me wrong. But,
I have so something embarrassing about me is that I have at a similar time, Coldplay released Viva La Vida on vinyl as a Best Buy exclusive.
Okay, so this was only that's right. There are a few bands that did this. I'm remembering
Best Buy, and I have it because I went physically to a Best Buy store to purchase a Coldplay album on vinyl, and my wife makes fun of me for all of this routinely.
As was the style of the time. Get with it. Maybe she's lame for not doing it.
I might listen to that album quietly, very quietly.
No, turn it up. Turn it up really loud. Let her know. Let her know that you're proud of what you did. And you should be.
Oh, I will. So anyway, that is to say, it's not as weird as it maybe sounds right now. Like that was a common thing to put out things. It wouldn't be exclusive forever necessarily, but it'd be exclusive for a minute. To me, was that the case with Chinese Democracy?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how long it was. Obviously, that ended because you can get it anywhere now. But I'm not sure how long they had it. But to me, why it's weird is Coldplay was and is still a very big band. Don't get me wrong. See the recent Coldplay meme that has occurred.
Yes.
If you're going to cheat on your spouse, don't do it at a Coldplay concert, everybody.
That's become the biggest news of the summer. It's amazing.
I think it's because it's the dumbest news of the summer.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, rich people, they're just like us. Anyway, so why it's weird to me is because Coldplay, while they were huge, they're not Guns N' Roses huge, especially at the time. There's been no multi-year hype cycle around this record. And then it makes me almost feel like that maybe Interscope felt that it was going to be a sales letdown. And they're like, let's milk everything we can out of it dollar-wise. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they knew they were going to sell some. And they were in the hole enough on the thing that they probably were like, let's just make something off of this stuff.
So according to the notes that I have here, the release date was November 23rd, 2008. And for some reason, this feels right to me. I mean, not seeing it on paper was like, if you had asked me, I'd said that probably released in the fall. It felt like a fall thing that I remember as a kid for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, 14 years after they started working on it, it finally came out. Best Buy exclusive. It debuts at number 3 on Billboard, so fairly solid. But this is starting to be during the time of the record industry also being kind of decimated. What do you think this sold in its first week? You come from this world, so you have a little better handle on some of this stuff than most people.
Let's see, 2008, because it's hard to predict unit sales from the 90s through to the 2010s because it got really weird. And I think 2008 might have been before they started adding in like digital streams as like album equivalent streams, which made it all weird again. I'm going to say 50,000 units.
Ooh, you shot her low. They sold 261,000 copies
Okay.
in the first week.
So that was gold then.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
that's pretty
gold.
decent for week one for 2008.
Yes,
but I mean, but it's
because
GNR.
it costs $14 million. Yeah, it cost $14 million to make. It was still far below expectations. So
It probably cost more than all of the Paranormal Activity movies ever made put together.
I think you're right. It
That probably have
did.
grossed like $1 billion.
Exactly. So certified gold in the States. Some sources are telling me it did go platinum worldwide, which makes me think the Best Buy move was not the move, because worldwide it could kind
They
of
might
go
have shot it in
wherever.
the States. Also, GNR is one of those bands that's just massive on a global scale, like in
Yes.
South America and Asia, like places that not every like American band is necessarily, just as big as they are here.
Right.
GNR is huge in those places.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I could see those markets being more receptive to it, whereas a lot of the US markets like, okay, I'll listen just because I want to know, but I'm only going to listen the one time. I could see people like unironically loving that record in parts of South America or Asia.
Yeah. So one thing I did not remember about the release of this is that there was a Dr.
Kind of like,
Pepper.
I'm sorry, time out real quick there.
Oh, go ahead.
Similar to how like, when like Avatar, The Way of Water came out and like 100% of people in America were like this is gonna suck. That film internationally was like the biggest thing to hit the world that whole year. It made a ton of money internationally because a lot of other people were like, oh, we've been dying for an Avatar sequel. I feel that Chinese Democracy and Avatar: The Way of Water are similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I think what's weird is like Chinese Democracy was like, probably 30% of the budget of The Way of Water. And I'm totally making that up. That's not true.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wonder if just Axl Rose just became really good friends with James Cameron. And that's what explained the whole thing. He's like, you're not spending enough on your albums, dude.
You really need to bump those numbers up. These are rookie numbers in this
You're
record.
making this album for $1 million? This is some low budget indie album?
Yeah. What are you recording it on your mom's, tape machine? What's going on
Yeah,
here?
come on, dog.
Yeah. So, yeah, what I was going to get to, this is a weird thing that I don't remember about the release of this at all. Maybe you do. There was a Dr. Pepper promo stunt to go along with this, where like with the purchase of Chinese Democracy, you were going to get a free soda or something. I don't really know how it worked exactly. I can't because I don't remember it. It's just a little footnote I have here. The website that was supposed to administrate it collapsed. Axl was very upset publicly about this. He was very upset over the broken promise of free Dr. Pepper to the purchasers of Chinese Democracy. And I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it is. It's also the juxtaposition of words here. We're talking about like Chinese Democracy, and I keep saying those words over and over again. And then like free Dr. Pepper is just like the weirdest like juxtaposition of words and concepts. Like Xi Jinping giving out Dr. Pepper. What's going on here?
It's all very odd. I don't know. I've just been wondering if Chinese Democracy, kind of like Licorice Pizza for like LP, was just him being like CD. It was like an Axl Rose joke.
Yo, maybe
about like, oh, I wanted the CD. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll come out.
It's all very silly. Continue, please.
Yes. Well, we're getting to the end here. So we've got some critics to get through. So Rolling Stone, very favorable of this album. They gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Pitchfork, not shockingly, less so, 5.8 out of 10. And I think that most people's feeling on it was, it's better than we expected, but it's not great. And when I went back and re-listened to it, it was a lot better than I remember it being. I think I didn't give it proper credit in the time when it came out. I think I was too caught up in the legend. And so I was like, it's terrible. It sucks. It doesn't suck. There's a lot to like about it. There's a lot of interesting things going on. It's very butt rocky. It's very like I can like, oh, this sounds kind of like 2008 butt rock. Like it does. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it. It does have those vibes for sure. There's not a lot of punk about it. There's not a lot of even like it honestly barely sounds like Guns N' Roses to me. Barely does. Axl doesn't even sound like himself.
No. And to be fair, I mean, different. He's his signature, vocal sound is kind of a hard thing to maintain. Oh,
absolutely. I don't know how he did it for as long as he did. So
it's a very searing, like high end thing. And once you're, like I was a first tenor when I was growing up. I can't sing that high anymore.
For all of the musical knowledge and nonsense that I may have, I couldn't begin to tell you which vocal ranges are which. So when you say that to me, I'm like, all right.
It's the highest normal male, like first tenor, second tenor, baritone, bass, first bass, second bass, etc.
Okay. Oh, baritone's above bass. I guess that makes sense because that's how it works on guitar too.
You can have a contratenor, which is like just a eunuch, basically. but first tenor is pretty high. Yeah.
I don't know where I would fall. I have no idea.
I'm a baritone now.
I'm probably a baritone.
Just because age and
not
treating my body as a temple.
Nobody knows my sorrow.
Oh my gosh. I hope we edit that out.
I'm not going to. Leaving that in there.
But yeah, it's been a while since I listened to it. I remember having the same reaction of being like, this isn't as bad as I thought.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Why did we assume that it was going to be bad?
Because that's what. How did you feel like Avatar: The Way of Water was going to be?
I didn't finish the first Avatar though. I like other Guns N' Roses stuff. I didn't finish the first Avatar. I thought it was dumb and I turned it off.
Once something takes long enough and costs too much money, and they just keep throwing more and more money at the problem, it always ends up really bloated and ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Avatar: The Way of Water.
This episode brought to you by Avatar: The Way of Water. We've said it so many times. James Cameron, shed a couple bucks and send them our way. We could use it. So I have a couple odd little things that are not really, they're not really important to the story, but I thought they were interesting anyway. There's also this rumor about Buckethead, and I don't understand this at all. I don't know what the context of this is. Apparently, his contract required a chicken coop to be built for him near the studio. This is an unverified thing that I don't think he's ever commented on, but a lot of people say it over and over again. Maybe that fits into our episode a few weeks ago about lies, and it's not true at all, but it's weird to me that rumor even got started if it's not true. And then if it is true, that's also weird.
I don't think that's probably true, but it's silly. I think Buckethead is just such an odd thing that people were like making up silly rumors about him as though it was necessary.
Is it because like there's not an easier way to get fresh eggs? There is. There's people who have chicken coops that you could go get them from that would happily sell you some. Especially
I don't think it's about the eggs for him. I think it's about I think he wants their meat. That's what goes in the bucket.
I think it's just because it was a KFC bucket
of eggs. It's a bucket of chicken meat.
Yeah, but that's not the way to get chicken meat. Like,
no, it would be very involved.
Yes. Maybe that's why it took so long. He's like, hold on, I'm not playing a riff until I get this chicken butchered and cooked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. That's one thing. There's one note I should have put this up in earlier other than in the optional interesting tidbits section of the podcast. But Roy Thomas Baker, he was actually known to record up to 100 takes of a single line. And some people are like, maybe this encouraged...
The old Steely Dan technique. Just do it again. Do it again. Do it better this time.
Mm-hmm.
Even better than that.
Well, and people are wondering if that maybe encouraged some of Axl's like more self-indulgent tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you got a producer that's willing to go that far, and you got, some wild eccentric artist who is willing to do it, maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's where maybe he was right about it being too much. That makes sense. Old Tommy. So here's just an interesting kind of, because we've talked about appetite for destruction a fair bit. How many times could they have recorded appetite for destruction on a cost basis for the cost that it cost them to do Chinese democracy?
Oh, that's a really interesting way to frame it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say 1,000 seems like a easy number.
Well, less than that. Well, a lot less than that. It's about 10.
10.
So appetite for destruction was a lot more expensive.
I should have done the math backwards. I was just a finger in the air. So that's about 140 grand to do appetite.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not no budget for like it being a debut album.
Yeah. And talk about a return on investment with that one.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When the money works, the money works.
We've talked a few times recently about the money not working. That's why they have money to not work with.
Oh yeah, because when it works, it works.
Yeah, they really smash it.
Yep.
They really, really do. So yeah, that's it. We kind of covered it. The legend and the release of one of the most anticipated rock albums of all time, and how it kind of fizzled. But I want to encourage everybody to go back and give it a real honest listen, because I was pleasantly surprised when I did.
And I think it'll be interesting. This probably is the final Guns N' Roses release. I mean, they're very much still touring now with a lot of the original band, at least like Slash and Duff. Interestingly, Matt Sorum didn't come back when those guys rejoined, even though he was in Velvet Revolver. Not sure why. But they put out some singles again in like the early 2020s that seem like a lot of them kind of date to the Chinese democracy era more so than they seem like they're like brand new GNR stuff outside of like Absurd. I think that one has Slash on it and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll go back to the studio and make another recording. Probably not. I mean, if they do, is that going to be better? I don't know. I'd be skeptical personally. I'm bummed. I haven't seen them on like the reunion tour. I'd like to. I also don't know that it's gonna sound great, but I'd like to have seen them. Have you seen them?
No, I've never seen them. I admittedly, I do like Guns N' Roses, but why I thought you might have a fair bit of knowledge, and I was correct about this, is because you're a bigger GNR fan than I am.
Is that right? Am I a bigger GNR fan than you are? That's something you know about me.
Yes.
Wild.
Yeah. No, Slash is the reason you started playing guitar. Slash is not the reason I started playing guitar.
One of them.
Yeah.
But yes, I was pretty into Slash. He seemed pretty cool.
You dressed as him.
I did. I dressed as him for Halloween.
Yeah, that's all I need to say. I've never dressed up as any member of Guns N' Roses, nor have I requested to or thought about it.
Yet.
Now I'm thinking about it.
I think that you and your wife could do a Slash and Axl thing. And I was thinking about that. I think I might understand a little bit better why you think Axl Rose is so cute.
Cool. Well, yeah, look at him.
Yeah. I think if your wife looks like any hair metal lead singer from the 80s, it's probably Axl Rose. I'm not saying that's what she looks the most like of anyone on the planet. But are
you trying to insinuate that I am actually the biggest Guns N' Roses fan? Is that what you're trying to say?
There's not too many redheads in that bunch, and she doesn't look more like Sammy Hagar than
she does
Axl.
not look more like Sammy Hagar.
Thank goodness for you.
Yes, that is good news for me. Very good news for me. I love you, Sammy. Don't want to marry you. But I'd love to hang out at Cabo sometime.
I'm going to make one time, that's my dating like graph of like when somebody is pass fail is like, do they look more like David Lee Roth or more like Sammy Hagar? I'm more of a David kind of guy. Anyway, since we're here, it probably means we should wrap. Thank you, dear listener, for making it this far.
I do appreciate you very much. And I will tell you what my wife and I, or what she wants to dress up as for Halloween off the air, because I'm not going to do it. But it's funny. Anyway, we'll get into that later. That's a story for not the listeners. Sorry, I don't tell you everything. I tell Scott everything. That's how this works.
That's what I'm here for.
Yes.
Well, you know what, Blake? I'll read us out for once because I always make you do it. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Tape Spaghetti. If you enjoyed this podcast, we hope that you will like it and subscribe or leave us a comment if you're on YouTube or Spotify or any other ecosystem where it's possible. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of Chinese democracy? I don't know. I'm very curious. There's probably some people out there that love it. Probably some people out there that hate it. Let us know. And as always, what we appreciate more than anything is tell your friends if you enjoy this, and have some other friends that enjoy music and have tastes like yourself or like us. Send this or any episode to them and encourage them to check it out. That means the world to us. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you next week.